almost like Mad Max, but where you could like
Yeah.
really like. I mean, they did have a pretty good Mad Max open world game, but like more of a survival crafting game. But your base is the car, so you have to keep upgrading the car. Once in a while, we might have played ourselves a little surviving crafting game.
One or two.
Yeah. And there is a common trope about how those games start, which is basically that you get dropped onto an island as the only survivor there. And the means by which this happens are... I don't know if they're varied. It pretty
They are a little varied. Some don't even give you a reason.
It's usually the plane crashed off of the island.
Plane or the helicopter or shipwreck.
Yeah, the boat wrecked on the shore, so now you're on the island. So now what do you do? And so, yeah.
This wasn't even just survival crafting, too. The game New World had your opening as you're on a ship that crashes.
Yes. I do love the idea that it's just like, well, you're wrecked on an island because literally your ship exploded. You know what I want them to do? This is just to play with the formula sometime. Do the Herman Melville thing where he literally just abandoned ship and swam to an island. That would be great. Do that.
Here's the thing, too. You would think if it's a shipwreck, then you're probably not the only survivor. Maybe you're the only person on the ship.
A lot of times that's not the case. You literally were the only one that actually made it, and no one else was there, no matter if it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But you end up there, you're the only survivor, and then you have to learn how to craft everything on the face of the planet once you get there. Why is it that we always go to the idea of, like, being just like, plopped down onto the island as the sole survivor of some kind of tragedy that's befallen us? Is it just as utility to get us there? Is it just the most sensible reason why you'd be on that island?
Yes, like in this scenario, it's you've crashed a plane or a boat or something happened and you washed up on an island or woke up on an island. And again, some don't even go with that basic premise. The game just starts with you naked on an island, and it's like, why? Why am I here? What happened?
Yeah.
So part of the trope, I think, with survival crafting is a lot of them lack any sort of narrative that makes sense.
We've played Pal World. Pal World is one of these scenarios where you really end up on an island, you wake up on the shores, and you don't really know what's going on. And I guess the story
Did you wake up in, like, a tomb?
No, you wind up on the beach. Remember, you wind up...
and then you go up into the tomb. You're right.
Yeah. You wind
it's
up
a ruin.
Yeah. You wind up on the beach, and there's the little tablet next to you that gives you some,
Not
general...
Sheikah Slate.
Yes, exactly. You get that, and then you're kind of like off to the races past that. That backstory is not really the reason why you're there. I'm not really here for the backstory of my character specifically.
Yeah. And it's like these, and for Powell specifically, it's like, these creatures don't exist wherever you came from. Okay.
Right. That's pretty much all you need to know, is that this is brand new territory for you.
So I was thinking, I don't know if you've ever read the book Hatchet.
No.
So in Hatchet, Brian, the titular character, I believe his name was, the protagonist, whatever, crashed a plane, or was in a plane crash, a smaller plane, usually in survival crafting games, they are big jets and stuff for some reason. Lots of passengers, so there's lots of luggage, I guess. He survives the crash, and it's named Hatchet because, like, his one tool that he used for survival was a hatchet that he had.
Yeah.
A lot with a hatchet. But that one didn't take place on an island. Survival crafting out in the middle of nowhere on an island that's never been explored. This was survival crafting to survive the Canadian wilderness. This big forest, this large space that you might be hundreds or thousands of miles from civilization here.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, there's still a chance, that you'd get rescued, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was, I think there's been a couple that kind of do survival where there's also wintry aspects to it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. There's been a few. I think The Long Dark is one of the examples
That
of
one.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, a lot of these survival crafting games are, hey, we're on an island. But I feel like there's so much more you could do. You could do, you're lost in the wilderness, like plane crash hundreds of miles from anywhere. It's
Sure.
like, do you know which direction to go if you want to even try to find civilization? Maybe there could be civilization. Maybe that's a goal. Minecraft just spawns you. I think a lot of it comes from Minecraft too, because that was it's still such a huge game. But it's like,
sure.
hey, you're just kind of plopped wherever,
wherever you can be.
You're just in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Generated world. What if you're the only survivor from a vault or a bunker that came out?
So basically, Fallout 76.
Yeah.
Which is basically what that was in a lot of ways. You emerge from the vault, you're the only one that you know of. Although it is implied that you are not the only one that is coming out of Vault 76.
Well, I guess the difference between like Fallout 76 is that is meant to be a multiplayer game.
Sure.
Whereas if you did it just single player, it would be a very different experience here in an empty world survival.
Sure.
Because it's no longer just I'm on my own trying to survive. It's I'm on my own until I find a community to build with, kind of deal.
That's also one of the reasons why I'm never as big on like multiplayer like survival crafting games, because I think it takes that sense of like loneliness out of the experience of like having that survival.
Did try one during the Steam Next Fest.
Sure.
We're not talking about this episode, but I did try one that was like, I liked the idea of the game and I thought it was okay, like the concept and the like story that was trying to go on,
Sure.
because it actually had some story to it, but I did not like the fact it was like right out the gate multiplayer, place down a thing, build a little base here, and everyone was doing that. It's like, can I not just use his stuff? It's like, why am I building my own base? I can build a house, yes, but like now it's fighting for like bits of land.
Oh, do you remember which one it was? Because I played a few.
It was once human.
Oh God, yeah, me too. That was the same problem I came up with. The
concept I thought was great. The idea and that stuff. I was like, the story and the vibe you're going with, I dig it.
Sure.
Yeah. I think this sounds cool on paper. But then playing it was like, I don't know, because like I've got to find my own plot of land, and it's like I would rather if this was just like single player or like invite friends to play with me. I don't want to play on a server with random people.
Yeah, the problem that I had with Once Human... Well, the first thing I thought about Once Human is it tried to do every genre. It felt like it was every game. But then, the second problem was that they were talking about, like, it'd be cool if you could just, like, have a build anywhere you want kind of game. And it's like, yeah, that sounds great, but I can't do that because everybody else has already built in there because it's a multiplayer game. The general idea of that is fine, and maybe the whole idea of the island as the place where we do survival crafting is kind of a trope in itself, because it does seem like that's used all the time. What was it? The Sunken Land was one that came out recently. Raft was obviously like a big one that's kind of like survival crafting that I'd see. What was Stranded Deep, which is one that people are really impressed by. One that I did play, though, that also kind of took that formula to a different place. I played it on stream. Was Arid. That was actually a student project, and that takes place in the desert, so it has...
And that's a very different kind of survival as well.
Yeah, because what they're able to play with is, one, that dehydration is a much more real threat, but then also that they had like a sunburn mechanic, so you stay out in the sun too long and you can actually get like sunstrokes and sunburn and stuff like that, which I thought was a good way of doing a different kind of mechanic. But that too was literally that your plane crashes in the middle of the desert and you're the only person that's out there. So again,
on the flip side, you also get games, and they don't quite fall into it the same way as the island trope, but games like Medieval Dynasty.
Oh yes.
Where it's a colony builder, but like in first person, not just a god game. So it's got the survival and it's got the crafting, but it's also got the colony management aspect of it too. And
Right.
those don't tend to, I don't think, start you on an island as much as you start like in the middle of this place that's already established with a town nearby kind of deal.
If I remember my time with Medieval Dynasty, they start you on a road going into like one of the main towns, and they kind of establish that you're going off to like forge your own destiny and like create your own place, like your own dynasty.
Yeah, but see, I want that concept,
Mhm.
but mixed with not necessarily the island trope,
Mhm.
as much as I want that concept mixed with exploring a new frontier.
Oh, sure.
So, like, hey, we've sent you, you're going to establish a colony, a base, a port, or whatever, on this new land. It hasn't really been explored, but we're sending you guys, like, you in first, and maybe, like, a couple NPCs if it, you got that. And it's like, here's a limited supplies, maybe you can pick your supplies Oregon Trail style, and, like, to start you off, and then you're on your fucking own.
I want an Oregon Trail survival crafting game. That'd be great.
Yeah, but like I would like something like that because that appeals to me where it's like I like having a little bit of colony management where they are doing some of the work too because it's the automation aspect that Power World
Mm-hmm.
was really good with, I think.
Sure.
But it's also not just, hey, this is a desert island trope, you shipwrecked. It's like, no, we dropped you off with a couple supplies,
Sure.
but you need to figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be a different take on it, which would be more interesting now
Mm-hmm.
than just the same old, oh, guess you crashed or woke up naked on an island.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. So basically what you want is like a Yukon survival kind of game. Like you're going
Sure.
out west and now you need to like put down a homestead or something in the new
I mean,
territory.
honestly, an Oregon Trail style, like, hey,
Yeah.
you've got to A, survive the trail, and B, once you get to where, like, you find a plot of land,
You
like,
got
maybe you could have a map that's Minecraft style, a procedural map, and you can just pick a fucking place to settle down.
Oh god. Oh man. Sorry. Now I'm getting into brainstorm territory. Here's what I want the game to be. Okay, like the game map is kind of like a long stretch like from point A to point B, but they start you off and you're on the East Coast and you have this amount of money and you can buy your basic supplies and stuff and you can put a coach together and you buy your horses and stuff for the coach and everything. And as you go along the trail, you have so much space in your cart and stuff that you can haul, so you can go out and hunt, like first-person hunting and like getting craft supplies and stuff like that. Build your cooking stove, you can set up camp alongside if you want to build that, and get money. Maybe you can actually go and like get gold or something and trade at the different posts, and you could... Yeah, and you could build out your cart if you want to build out your cart, and then when you get to the end, you get to the West Coast, at the end of this trail, that starts Phase 2 of the game, and the Phase 2 of the game is the actual base building part, where you have to, like, take your whole cart apart, and you have to strip it for parts, and you have to build your homestead, and then you have to try and survive, because trying to go back is going to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, I would like something like that.
That'd
That
be
would
great.
be a really interesting take on that whole survival crafting genre to me.
Yeah.
It's like maybe you've got you and your family,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna, you're gonna make a trading post. Maybe you establish a trading post.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you build a town around that. And it's like, all right, well, people are coming in because you're on the trail, essentially.
Yeah.
So they're coming through, stopping to rest, getting rumors, getting supplies, trading supplies. And then they keep going on their way, and then maybe some people want to settle down with you.
There could be an option if you wanted to, where you just end up building a trading post somewhere along because you decided I can't make it all the way to the to the West Coast, and you've set up a trading post and you just set up a town in the middle of the Oregon Trail.
I think that would be fantastic as a game. I would love to make that. Hey, game designers, make this fucking thing.
That would be
It doesn't have to
great.
be the Oregon Trail, just use that as a concept. Please and thank you.
And I want to see a challenge run where somebody goes to, gets to the West Coast at the end of the Oregon Trail and decides to turn back and see if they can make it back to the East Coast. outpost. Like wagonsies, just go like, okay, we're leaving again, going back. So there's that idea. I think that's really great. This actually kind of reminds me, there was a movie, you might have heard of it. It was called Dances with Wolves from way back. Did you ever watch it?
I've heard of it,
okay,
yes. No,
okay.
I don't think I watched it.
I actually just watched it very recently because I had not seen it. I just knew about it. Kevin Costner's character basically comes back a war hero after the Civil War who was ready to die. He was done. But then he survived the war and comes back, and they basically say, "What do you want to do?" And he's like, "Well, I want to go out west, and I want to get a position out there in new territory." And they say, "Sure." And they station him to be in charge of this post that's out in the plains. Gets there to find there's literally no one there. Like, the post has been abandoned entirely. There's no one left. There's some supplies, and it's just him. And so now it's him for a good portion of the movie before he meets the Sioux Nation, where he's, like, just trying to figure out, like, what is he doing out here? And, like, what am I gonna do? And kind of, like, takes you with him through many of the days that he's there. Like, and you know, this wolf keeps coming around. What's the wolf about? You know, like, is it a friendly wolf or not? Or, like, can I make friends with him? Yeah, exactly. And so that almost feels like that kind of a game. Like, you end up getting positioned at this outpost, and now you have to figure out what you're going to do. And there are natives in the area. Are they hostile? We don't know. We've been told that, but is that true? And I gotta make contact with these folks if I meet them. And so there's a lot of these interesting, like, layers of that, but that just a general idea, like, you end up at the outpost is completely abandoned, doesn't look like anyone's been there for weeks. What do you do now? Like, what do you do now? Which is,
pretty much.
I don't know, I think that is a little bit of a more interesting concept than the, well, my plane crashed and there was an island here.
At least then you have, like, some kind of story to deal with, or a narrative that you can craft yourself to doing it.
Sure.
Like, if you do Oregon Trail style, it's like, all right, well, you can pick a couple people that you have with you. Like, you can pick max amount of people, you know, their professions, and then you can kind of be like, oh, that's a family, or it's a couple families. They're like, there's a narrative there. And I'm not super big into, like, I don't make characters in games and go, yes, I'm going to roleplay this character and I have all these ideas of who they are in my head. I can't do that. But like this, I would be like, all right, well, I want a blacksmith with me. I want someone who has these set skills like any other colony survival game you would play where they have their own set skills. But like, you've got to craft that, and then they have interactions with each other too, so
yeah,
it'd be a lot more than just, yes, you've crashed on an island, good job.
Right. Wouldn't it be something if you had the Oregon Trail, like, path of survival, or whatever we'll call it, and somebody comes down with dysentery, and, like, you stop at a post, and you're like, oh, they're not gonna make it, and you just, like, leave without them, and just abandon them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, you know, like, what do you do? Like, that would be an interesting thing. Do I have to, like, do I have to craft the headstones for my family members?
Absolutely. So wooden cross. Yes, well, this person came down with dysentery and had to be killed, and now the mood of the party is just kind of, like, soured for a week. They have these in colony
system
management games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's, had to eat near a corpse. I'm upset for the next 3 days.
The mood goes down because there's a dead body nearby.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bad smell in the air from, like, rotting flesh or something.
I know. Mix the two. Survival, crafting, colony management, but, like, not on an island, and make it a travel game.
Yeah, make it a travel game. I think that we've had our share of getting randomly just dropped on an island because everything went south. So
I want more vehicle crafting survival games like Pacific Drive, but different.
Almost like Mad Max, but where you could, like,
Yeah.
really, like... I mean, they did have a pretty good Mad Max open world game, but, like, more of a survival crafting game, but your base is the car, so you have to keep upgrading the car. So what would you like to see that would be a little bit of a switch up from the common, you know, stranded on an island with Josh Hutcherson survival game?
And the thing about that is, too, that no one ever gives me a frickin' volleyball companion when I do these.
No.
Like, you would think survival crafting would be like, ah, yes, you're stuck on a desert island, but you can also craft a companion
Yeah.
to keep you sane,
Yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah.
None of them have done that.
You know, that is kind of odd. Why they didn't have a volleyball companion crafting item in more of these? Or just like ones where you could, like, make a coconut look like a face or something and put it on a spike or something, and it, like, restored sanity or, like, added to sanity.
You just get Plank from Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
Sure. Whatever works.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Anyways. Yeah.
Let us know in the comments down below.
Tell us your crafting survival fantasy location.
Yes.
Where do you want to get stranded?
Yes, where do you want to get stranded? It's all about location, location, location. Okay.